Activity 3 is then deviant mentality and destructive behavior. Now, this is where we get into the definitions. So we talk about boundaries, right? We talk about grooming and boundaries in activity 1 and how boundaries are crossed and how do we start establishing healthier boundaries, especially when it comes to those desires we have. But now we're talking about, and then we talk a lot about coping for activity 2. And what does it really look like to be able to process and work our way through things in a healthy enough way as to where we're not just staying in the frustrated and anxiety level or that section of the funnel. And the reasons we do that more often than not is because of how we distort reality. We are very, very good at, as human beings, at distorting and bending the truth to be able to accept the realities that we're in. And I say that all the time because I'll give you an example of distortion and how easy it is for humans to do. Even as healthy counselors or educators or adults, we do it all the time. Imagine if you're late to an appointment and you're on a backcountry road. What's the first thing most 90% of us are going to do? What are we going to do? How many of you raise your hand with speed? Yep, I will. Even though I know what's wrong, right? Now, whoever raised their hand, how many of us get to that destination? And when we walk through the doors, we're on time. We made it perfectly fine. How many of us tell ourselves, "Oh my goodness, I'm so lucky that I didn't get caught this time. I'm never going to speed again." Some of us are like, "Yep." But how many times, even after saying that, do we do it again? And not only that, but how many of us, instead of saying that, how many of us say, "Holy crap, like I'm so fortunate," or "Wow, like that country road, there's never any cops. So therefore I know that in that one spot, I can do what? I can speed." The majority of times we're going to convince ourselves, not that we were really lucky, but the majority of times we'll say, "Well, shoot, there's never a cop out there." And not only is there never a cop out there, but we'll continually tell ourselves, if we got away with it once, we're going to continue to do it as to where we're going to tell ourselves, "Well, there's never any cops. It's no big deal. It's in the middle of nowhere." We have all these different lies that we tell ourselves to the point as to where not only do we accept it as being valid, but even when we get pulled over, all of a sudden it makes us more upset at them. "How dare you pull me? Don't you have drugs to go find? Why are you sitting in a country road? Are you kidding me? Like, go do something else." And it's like, whoa. And here's the part that's really scary. Every time we speed down that backcountry road, the percentage or probability of us getting caught is going up exponentially higher. But our brain don't see it that way. Instead of, like, imagine if your brain told you the exact percentage of where you're at for getting caught. Just like in a poker hand. Like, you ever see the best poker players where they can statistically give you any odds or percentage possible? They're like, "Well, it's a 32%, you're going to get a blah, blah, blah." You're like, holy cow, okay. What if your brain did that for like getting into trouble? Like if all of a sudden by the 4th time, your brain was like, "You're at a 90% chance, man. You're at a 90% chance." How much more likely would it be to not do it? A lot. But instead of our brain telling us that, our brain says, "Well, it's no big deal." Not only is it no big deal, but it doesn't matter. Even if I'm caught, I don't care. And we rationally justify it as, "I'm never," and not only that, but we tell ourselves, "I'm never going to get caught." We do that so commonly and consistently as human beings that we distort the truth so far. We bend reality to accept rationally what we're doing as humans. And I tell kids right now, I ask kids out of these 5 statements, what are the top 5 statements that are used when it comes to distorting the truth? What are the top 5 statements we give ourselves or excuses that we use to distort the truth? And I have them write that out on the mentality part. So what are the top 5? What can we think of?
Everybody's doing it.
Everybody's doing it. Big one. Write it up there. Or wait, should we go to a whiteboard? We can go to a whiteboard here. All right. Here's our anxiety, depression, love, all that. Everybody's doing it. We could type that in. What else? That's one. We tell ourselves, "I'm never going to get caught. Doesn't matter." We feel invincible to it. Even if I do get caught, it doesn't matter because why? It's no what?
Big deal.
It's no big deal. It was only weed. It wasn't like it's crack or anything. It's not like it's going to be legal in a few days anyways. Okay. Talk about what else do we got? Deviant mentality wise. All right, so we got 3, right? Everybody's doing it. I'll never get caught. It's no big deal. How many times do we hear kids tell you, I don't really care? Not only will I not get caught, but I just don't care. Right? Oop. I was going to say it. I'm hearing crackling in the background. Am I getting distorted or is everything okay? Oop. I don't care. Anybody else come up with the other ones? What is another way we lie to ourselves all the time? It's no big deal is a huge one, right? Everybody else is doing it. What do you think kids say all the time? Who does it? Who does it instead? Who else are the ones doing it?
Their parents always do it.
My parents are doing it. Not only is everybody else doing it, but a huge, huge factor is our parents, where we see it, where we're brought up. That influence weighs more heavily on kids than most other things that we could ever imagine, right? So it's not only everybody else, but it's my specific parents. And they don't care. They don't care either. So why should I care? And then out of those 5 mentalities, I asked the kids to write down on the behavior side, I asked them what was their behaviors for each one of those thoughts that they had. So I want them to connect the behavior with a thought. Because at first I asked them, how many of you have had these thoughts in the last week or 2? And how many of them you think, yep, guilty, pretty sure. So what were the things you ended up doing because you told yourself it was no big deal? Or because you told yourself everybody's doing it? Or because you told yourself whatever? And having that chart to keep themselves mindful and consistent and being able to see things for what they are is going to help them to stay in flux. Because it's one thing knowing it, but it's another to be able to write it down and start applying it and to start seeing it for what it is, right? So to have it up here versus out here and writing it out and talking about it is vastly different than just thinking I'm well, right? So that's where the deviant mentality and destructive behaviors part comes in. And that is the third and final activity.